Good morning, friends, and welcome to the Cold War Prepper. My name is Lee. I need your help, and so for 3 hours last night, I did this over and over and over again, trying to get something to record. I've done it several times this morning. I'm using Photo Booth, and I'm doing everything, clicking on the video icon, clicking on the start button, and going through this for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then when I do a playback, there's nothing there. So if anybody has any suggestions on how I can do this better on a MacBook and not take a day and a half to record simple 5-10 minute videos, I'd greatly appreciate it. But anyhow, what I'd like to talk to you about today are several things that are going on, mostly conspiracy theories. The supposed Chinese coup, the end of the world yesterday, potassium iodide being brought up by the U.S. government. I may or may not tell you about a Karen that I experienced yesterday. Then my theories about Red Dawn, the draft, and martial law. So that's way too long though, so I'm going to probably break that up and I'll do a second video on whatever I don't get to today. But I would like to start off with a nice quote from one of my favorite Japanese philosophers, Haruki Murakami. Let me see if I can find it here. He says, spend your money on things that money can buy, and spend your time on things that money cannot buy. So let's talk about these supposed things. And you know, I realize that there are people out there who want something to happen, and you know, they will build anything out of nothing. And so I was watching Nutrient Survival's live drawing last night. Oh, that reminds me, you've got to please at 5 o'clock Central Time every day this month. And so we've had 24 drawings so far. They've given away hundreds on a daily basis of dollars of value of freeze-dried foods. So, you know, please be there at 5 o'clock if you want free freeze-dried foods. Yesterday's drawing, there was only like 175 people entered in the drawing, so your chances are less than 1 in 200, which is pretty good odds, really. And so I would encourage you to just, you know, this afternoon at 5 o'clock, Sunday, be there and Nutrient Survival, their live stream, enter the code word and see if you can't win something. You know, that I know that we're all strapped for tight money, and so free stuff is great, especially if it only costs you a little bit of your time. But anyhow, so my screen, you know, in the upper right-hand corner started showing all these different channels that were reporting on this Chinese coup. So I went and looked at it, and you know, they said that Xi Jinping is under house arrest, and the Chinese military has taken over the country. There's been a military coup. So I started researching it, trying to find out, you know, listening to the drawing at the same time that I'm trying to do this research on the Chinese coup. Didn't find anything. Then after the drawing was over, I spent another hour trying to find anything and didn't find anything. When I got up this morning, I went through my normal morning prayers. Then I said, well, I got to find out about this Chinese coup. Still nothing. So evidently there was one source who reported it, and a whole bunch of people are wishing it to be true, and so they're doing it as well. Now, I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm not saying that it is true. I'm just saying I don't have the information to make that decision. And so until such time as somebody provides me with a link of a credible source that says that this has happened, until that time, I consider it rumor. And I would recommend that you consider it rumor as well. The second thing is yesterday, there was a minister in the German parliament who was talking about the invasion by the bear country of the blue and gold flagged country. And you know, he was talking about it, and he said that we would remember where we were when that happened on the 24th of September. Well, it was a gaffe. And he made a mistake. He should have said 24th of February, not 24th of September. But, you know, for our conspiracy theorists here among us, that's not enough that the guy made a gaffe, and we should take him at his word, especially when he corrects it and says, I meant to say the 24th of February. We've got to look for that thing. You know, the world is going to end on the 24th of September. Well, you know, the world was going to end in 1974 when we had the highest gas prices. Up until that time, we'd ever had lines like you would not believe. We couldn't get gas. We had to stand in line for 8 hours to get, you know, half a tank of gas. Then, of course, we had the Bunky Hunt brothers silver debacle. We had the Y2K. We've had several recessions. We've had the housing bubble, the high-tech bubble. We've had the end of the Mayan calendar, and all these things that were causing the end of the world. When I talked about it before, one guy says, yeah, but here's all the reasons of things that are going to happen on the 24th. And, it's the anniversary of the great Russian Revolution. I said, the Oktyabrskaya Revoluция, the October Revolution, happened on the 24th of September. Okay? But, it was also because it's Rosh Hashanah. But Rosh Hashanah doesn't start until sundown on the 25th. So, people were reaching for things to justify their belief, and it just didn't happen. So let that be a lesson for you. Sometimes, politicians make gaffes. Sometimes I use the wrong word. Sometimes everybody uses the wrong word. People can make mistakes, and it's best to believe. I would first say that the person misspoke before I would believe that there's an underlying conspiracy behind that. Then the third one that I'll talk about in this video, and we're already at 6 minutes, so I'll talk about only 3, and then I'll get into the others in my next video, if it records. And that's the potassium iodide. And so I was watching a video last night, and this guy says that the government is buying up all the potassium iodide, and that he has 3 independent sources that have verified that for him. And I thought, wow, finally somebody. He's not only said this is what I'm saying, but here's where I got the information. And so I went to take a look at those 3 sources, and I watched all 3 of those videos. And video number 1, I got my information from person X. Video number 2, I got my information from person X. Video number 3, I got my information from person X. So do we have 3 sources, or do we just still have person X as the only source? So this person X said it, 3 guys picked it up and repeated it. That does not make these 3 independent sources. That we still have down to 1 source. And so I don't think, and that 1 source, he says that he got an email from his supplier and said that, there's going to be, he's not going to be able to fulfill any future orders because of an obligation to the federal government. Do you believe this 1 source or not? That's the beginning of the question, and all I can say is discernment. Watch out what you believe and what you don't believe. And as a matter of fact, James Cook had something really great to say about this. And he says, before I get to James Cook, let me remind you about what Paul Simon said in the last 2 lines of the first stanza of a fantastic song, The Boxer, in 1969. He says, man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. And then the way James Cook says that is, when your mind tries to verify a preconceived notion, you quite often miss the obvious. So remember that we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Be kind, patient, and respectful to each other, because togetherness is the key. Be on that live stream at 5 o'clock tonight. Maybe you can win some free freeze-dried food. Take care. This is Lee. Bye-bye.